In 1923, in Cairo's Continental Hotel in Egypt, a rich British lord was in a coma. He was suffering from a high fever and was breathing heavily. At 1:55 a.m., he took his last breath. Surprisingly, at exactly this moment, the entire city of Cairo was engulfed in lightning. Everything was covered in darkness. Thousands of miles away, in England, there was a pet dog belonging to the British lord. The dog started screaming all of a sudden, and then, as she looked, also died. A few months prior, this man had opened a 3,000-year-old grave. There was a warning written on the outside of the grave: "Death shall come on swift wings to whoever disturbs the peace of the Pharaoh. Whoever disturbs the Pharaoh's sleep will be killed by death." In the next 6 years, 22 people related to this grave died. A 78-year-old secretary's father jumped from the 7th floor and died. A radiologist died suddenly, and when the scientists performed an autopsy on the mummy, which was 3,000 years old, he found something that no one could explain. The world named it the Curse of the Pharaoh. Hey everyone, this story begins a few months before his death. In November 1922, in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, British archaeologist Howard Carter and his workers were digging through sand and stones. Carter had been searching for a pharaoh for years, whose name had been forgotten in history. This pharaoh was Tutankhamun. Carter was not an elite archaeologist. His father was an animal painter who painted pictures of animals for the aristocrats. Carter had been sick since childhood, so he wasn't sent to school. He inherited only one thing from his father: a paintbrush. Then, a lord saw 17-year-old Carter's watercolors and asked him to go to Egypt. Carter's sponsor, England's rich aristocrat Lord Carnarvon, had spent around £50,000 in the last 15 years. It would be around 50 to 60 crore rupees. In 15 years, he spent £50,000 and found nothing else. Carter had one last chance. Carnarvon had clearly stated that this was the last season. If nothing was found this time, the funding would be cut. On 4th November 1922, when Carter reached his excavation site, there was a strange silence. His foreman told him that during the excavation, a step was cut into the rock. Carter's heart started beating fast. He ordered his workers to dig faster. By the afternoon of November 5th, the entire debris had been removed and a full stairway was visible. It was 10 feet high and 6 feet wide. A sealed door was visible. Upon reaching the 12th step, a closed door with plaster on it and the seal of Anubis, the royal seal of the Valley of the Kings. This was the signal of a royal tomb. But whose royal tomb? About 60 graves in the Valley of the Kings had been found, and most of them had been looted centuries ago. On the 24th of November, 16 of the stairs had been cleared. Now, a name could be clearly read on this closed door: Tutankhamun. Seeing this, Carter was convinced that he had reached the grave of the pharaoh he had been searching for years. November 26, 1922, the day that Carter later described as the most amazing day of his life. In this closed door, Carter made a small hole. Warm air came out from inside. He started to feel the heat of the candle flicker. As his eyes adjusted to the darkness, Carter saw a gold glitter inside. Lord Carnarvon asked from behind, "Can you see anything?" Carter replied, "Yes, wonderful things." This was a 3,000-year-old tomb. It had 5,398 objects, 10-kilogram gold death masks, meteorites from space, a dagger made of iron, a coffin made of solid gold, and 130 walking sticks. Everything was kept the same as it was 3,000 years ago, right after the death of the pharaoh. This was the biggest archaeological discovery in human history. But as soon as this news spread, some strange things started happening. Soon, in the early days of the discovery, something happened that scared the local Egyptians. Carter had a golden canary at home. This is a bird that looks like this. One day, Carter's assistant was sent home for some work. As soon as he reached home, he heard a scream. When he looked at the cage of the bird, a cobra was inside the cage. and Carter's bird was in the mouth of the cobra. Imagine what a scene he must have seen. A cobra was inside the cage with the golden bird hanging from its mouth. This news spread across Egypt like wildfire because for the Egyptians, the cobra was a powerful symbol of Egyptian royalty. People said the cobra had taken revenge for the disturbance of the pharaoh's grave. They said something terrible was about to happen. A few months after the discovery of the tomb, on 6th March, a mosquito or insect bit Lord Carnarvon's face. The next day, while shaving, he accidentally nicked the bite with a blade, and it became infected. It was summer in Egypt. An Egyptian fly sat on the open wound in the heat, which increased the infection. After that, Carnarvon developed a high fever. The doctors asked him to stop his strict diet and alcohol, but Carnarvon opened another bottle of wine from his estate. On 5th April 1923, at the Continental Hotel in Cairo, at 1:55 p.m., Lord Carnarvon died. The circumstances of his death were even more terrifying. 12 days before his death, a letter from novelist Marie Corelli was printed in the Daily Express. In it, she openly warned Carnarvon. Marie said that she had a rare book. According to the book, anyone who entered a sealed grave would be punished most severely. A novelist gave a public warning, and after 12 days, the man died. There were 2 incidents at the time of Carnarvon's death that made the story of the curse even more intense. Do you remember I told you at the beginning of the video that the entire city of Cairo lost power? When British High Commissioner Lord Allenby asked the electricity department for the reasons, they had no explanation. No one knew why the electricity went out, and the second dog, Susie, died in England that same night. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, said that an evil elemental could be responsible for Lord Carnarvon's illness. The person who created Sherlock Holmes believed that this curse was real, and this is how the media took hold of the story. The curse of the Pharaoh, the curse of King Tut. Such headlines started to spread across the world, and after this, deaths began to happen in such a way that every death was more terrifying than the previous one. The common thread in the story of this curse is that what is not understood is scary. People didn't know the reasons for all these deaths, so they called it a curse. This happens in our financial lives as well. The headlines of Tutankhamun's had been printed in the newspaper, but this was just the beginning. After this, when the series of deaths began, the newspaper headlines grew bolder after each death. American financier George J. Gould, who visited the tomb, died of fever the headline was, "Another victim of the Pharaoh." British industrialist Joel Wool was killed by a high fever after seeing the tomb. Headline, "Curse claims third life." The half-brother of Lord Carnarvon, Aubrey Herbert, died within 6 months. Radiologist Sir Archibald Douglas, who had done an X-ray of the mummy, also died suddenly. Carter's key team member, Arthur Mace, Professor Breasted, and 2 assistant reporters of the Times newspaper all joined this list. Daily Mail, Daily Express, Morning Post. Every time an Egyptologist or museum official died, regardless of age or illness, the newspaper would always run an article saying the curse had claimed another victim. The biggest irony of this whole story was that the person who promoted this curse the most, Arthur Weigall, who was the daily newspaper's special correspondent, was also killed in Egypt due to a fever. He was included as number 21 on the victims list. The myth he created was also the one that metaphorically killed him, but the most horrific death was still to come. The death of the secretary to Carnarvon, Richard Bethel, in 1929, when his 78-year-old father was due to a heart attack. Got the news, he opened the windows of his 7th floor apartment in London and jumped. By 1929, 22 people who were directly or indirectly involved in this tomb were dead. 13 of them were the ones who had opened the tomb themselves. And then came the discovery that had everyone in shock. 1925, when Tutankhamun's mummy was autopsied, Dr. Douglas Derry found a round mark on his cheek. This mark was in the same place where the insect had bitten Lord Carnarvon. The same place, the same cheek. The 3,000-year-old mummy had a single mark matching the one on the face of the living man. After this, the newspapers went mad. The Morning Post printed big headlines. Daily Mail, Daily Express, everyone. The same news was going around the world. An ancient curse was on Tutankhamun's grave. Whoever disturbed this grave would only find death. In reality, Tutankhamun's parents were siblings. You heard me right. To understand this curse, we need to first understand who Tutankhamun was and how his grave survived for 3,000 years. Tutankhamun was born in 1341 BC in the most turbulent period of ancient Egypt. His condition was so bad that his life was in danger from day one. In fact, in Egypt, for thousands of years, many different gods were worshipped. Father, Pharaoh Akhenaten, rejected all these gods and said that there was only one God, Aten, the sun disk. He closed all the temples of that time. He removed the priests. He changed the kingdom, and this experiment failed completely. Writing from Tutankhamun's reign, the Restoration Stela tells us that after Aten, the country was in a state of turmoil. The gods had turned their backs on the land. The temples were destroyed. Everything was in ruins. And in this era, after Akhenaten's death, an 8 to 9-year-old boy was placed on the throne. The name of this boy was Tutankhaten, which means living image of Aten. But later, when he reversed his father's religious changes, he changed his name to Tutankhamun, which means living image of Amun. His power lasted for a very short time. A very short time, because when Tutankhamun was only 18 or 19 years old, he died. In 1968, a professor took an X-ray of his skull and found a dark spot in the back. This could be due to an injury on the back of his head. Many people guessed that he was murdered, but the real story was even more disturbing. In the Egyptian royals, inbreeding was common. People would marry their brothers and sisters, and it continued for many generations. And as you must have read in biology class, due to excessive inbreeding, genetic problems can arise. Tutankhamun suffered from clubfoot. His legs were so bent. The photos on the screen are some examples of this deformity. Tutankhamun was so ill that he couldn't walk a single step without support. His grave had 130 walking sticks. He also had Kohler's disease, a bone disorder that causes extreme pain. When scientists investigated his mummy, they found evidence of malaria. Today, experts believe that Tutankhamun's death was because of the combination of all these reasons. He was such an unimportant pharaoh in his bloodline that the kings who came after him erased his name from the records. This was the reason why his grave was safe from thieves. No one knew that he existed there. For 3,000 years, the world had forgotten his name, but Tutankhamun was revived once again. After 1922, his name became more popular in the world than it had been for 3,000 years. It fulfilled its legacy.